Hey, just a quick warning, this video includes themes of mental illness.
Yo, what's up? I just got NBA 2K20 on Xbox.
Hellblade is a pretty janky-ass video game. It's so janky that after recording 5.5 hours of gameplay footage, my recording software left this nice little mark on the video. There are multiple very weird animation errors that you'll get sometimes. Combat can feel kind of weightless and clunky. There are multiple puzzles I spent way too long on because I couldn't see a small staircase beside me, and it's one of the few games I refuse to play with subtitles on because the subtitles are some fucking dog ass.
It's breathing. He knows she's getting closer.
Bro skated off into the shadow realm.
This might make it sound like Hellblade isn't worth your time, especially when the studio's previous game was the 2013 Devil May Cry reboot, which you gotta say, you know, one of Vivian Medrano's finest works.
Hey guys, I'm here. Today we are starting Hazbin Hotel Season 1.
You don't look a day over 12,000.
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
However, Hellblade is actually a very well-written game that is, in fact, worth your time, and also includes some of the best mental health representation I've ever seen. Yeah, I know, talk about an improvement, right? This game was an indie AAA title, made with a team of only 15 people, and would go on to be both a critical and commercial success, and even won multiple BAFTA awards. The game was kinda like the original Expedition 33 in this regard, a small little indie passion project game that would go on to blow up massively. But there's obviously a reason for Hellblade's success. The game is really compelling. See, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice is about a main character who might be a little crazy. Our main character, Senua, suffers from a psychosis, which is most commonly associated with schizophrenia. But the thing is, this isn't just some shitty taboo subject thrown in for shock value. Because you see, unlike the finest works by Vivian Medrano, Ninja Theory chose to actually get professional help with the game and not just stick their head up their ass.
To make a game about a warrior with psychotic mental illness as its central theme was fraught with danger. Mental illness such as psychosis is still taboo and rarely acknowledged in a century of cinema, never mind the new medium of games. Where it does feature, it often conflates psychosis and psychopathy associated with a lack of empathy. It is unfortunate that these two words sound so similar that they are used interchangeably in media. I must admit that I didn't have to look very far to discover my own ignorance of the subject.
They brought on multiple neuroscientists and mental health professionals as consultants.
We reached out to Welcome, a biomedical research charity that spends billions on research and awareness programs aimed at improving health.
The team used binaural microphones to simulate voice hearing from a 3D space.
If we were to represent Senua's psychosis, we would have to simulate voice hearing, a common attribute. We recorded the actors using a binaural microphone, which records the 3D spatial position of sound, replicating the way sound is heard by human ears.
And most importantly, they talked to real people with psychosis. They got feedback from them and added their experiences to the game.
Rachel Waddingham from the Voice Collective came to our studio with 2 young voice hearers to speak to our team. We talked at length about their experiences and they listened to our tests, giving us feedback on how we could improve on it. The people we spoke to, the stories they told were fascinating, harrowing and mind-boggling. The reality of what people experienced was vivid, far exceeding what I could possibly have imagined. We went away itching to represent some of these visions and flashbacks in the game.
And on that note, yeah, it's impressive that Melina Jurgens, who at the time was just Ninja Theory's video editor, was not only chosen as Senua, but gave one of the best performances in a video game, period. But that's not just because Melina is a good actress. She was also acting from experience.
Yeah, I feel like the role came very naturally to me because I've had my own experiences with psychosis in my early 20s. I feel like I knew the character so well, I know what she's going through, I could relate to her so much that it was like a very easy transition for me to kind of relate to her and portray her.
What resulted from all of this was a truly unique experience. A work that embraced not just mental health accuracy, but also real human empathy. Hellblade is a pretty damn beautiful game. It's also horrifying and very abstract. It kind of feels like a cross between God of War and Silent Hill, which is funny because Hellblade predates God of War by an entire year. Despite the fact that both games are over-the-shoulder dark fantasy games games with very heavy Norse mythology stuff in them that also both tackle themes of grief and loss as well. But where God of War is pure fantasy, embracing the Norse mythology parts of it, Hellblade is intentionally unsure if it is a fantasy or not. Its narrative is very hard to follow, and that's intentional, despite the fact that on the surface it's actually pretty simple. The game follows Senua, a woman who carries her dead husband's head around. Her goal is to enter Helheim and kill a couple of gods in the hopes that she can bring her husband Dillion back from the dead. But throughout the game, her real backstory is revealed. As mentioned earlier, Senua suffers from psychosis, and so did her mother, so it might have been genetic for Senua. Her father, though, was a cult leader who was deeply abusive and burned her mother alive. And as a result from all of this, Senua was isolated from the rest of the world. Eventually, though, Senua met Dillion, who she fell deeply in love with. Eventually, though, Dillion was killed by Norsemen raiders, and Senua blames herself for it. So in the quote-unquote real world, Senua is going on this big old revenge quest against the people that killed her husband, while also having very strong Norse mythology delusions.
Yeah, well, try to fight against this. Let me go! I have killed her, now I will wear her skin!
And already that's very interesting in Senua's narrative. In Hellblade's world, Norse mythology is just another religion that people believe in. But that kind of religion directly influences Senua's delusions. Psychosis and hallucinations in general can really only pull from your own mind, from yourself. And our own minds and beliefs are influenced by our experiences, what we grew up on, what we know. What I'm saying is, if Hellblade were set in the modern day, she would absolutely be fighting a Jesus Christ.
Stop fucking with Korean Jesus.
This might make it sound like a Hellblade is just one big all-in-the-head kind of game, but once you actually play it, you realize it's kind of the opposite of that. Because the point of Hellblade isn't to have you question what is or isn't real. Hellblade does not make an attempt to hide the fact that Senua is herself mentally ill. And that starts with the voices in Senua's head, often sounding very overstimulating and at times incoherent. And using a binaural audio technology, they sound like they exist in a very real 3D space.
It's not Dillion, it's a trick. He loves her. Go in there. Go in. You have to go in. Take the torch. It's too dark. Take it. This will help you. Careful. You have to be able to see. Face. What is it? What does it see? You want to see? Be careful. It's not safe. Where are we? What is this? It's the same. It's another world. Seeing runes. You see runes everywhere. Everywhere. But what if they're not real? What if they don't actually make sense? The gods were lying. He saw if she really think it makes sense.
On top of all of that, though, it really immerses you in Senua's mind. Even though these voices are very schizophrenic and all over the place, they're also very human. And at times, you can even feel empathetic towards Senua.
What does she think she's doing? You're special. She thinks she can. They mean nothing. What does it feel like to be in love? He cared in a way that nobody else did. You had that loved you. You squashed it, strangled it, flattened it. The curse cannot be undone.
On top of that, one of the invisible voices is a narrator, but it's not entirely clear if this narrator is just a narrator or part of the voices. But the prose of this narrator is some of the most beautiful yet tragic dialogue I've heard. The way this narrator explains Senua's reality and the condition she has is so elegant, while also sounding just as numb and paranoid as the narrative itself.
The world once seemed so simple. Black and white. Darkness and light. Narrow dividing lines of our own making. Dillion taught her to see further. To peek through the cracks and see the worlds of color stretching away from the gloom. This place. It reminds her of the isolating, suffocating darkness that she lived through as a young girl. Imprisoned in her room at night. The faces in the dark, coming through the walls. She once thought everyone could see them. I mean, that's what children say all the time, isn't it? That there are monsters in the dark. By the time she realized that only she could see them, her father, Zinbel, could see the monster in her.
From the writers of a DMC Devil May Cry, by the way.
You can call me Dante the Demon Killer.
Shut your bitch ass up, bruh. Like on some real shit.
But Senua's illness is there from the very beginning of the game. It's not hard to figure out that Senua hearing voices in her head might mean she's kind of unstable. What is kind of hard to figure out though is what's in her head and what is part of just the fantasy universe. And of course there are multiple examples of this, like the Sea of Corpses or the giant gods you see and sometimes face, or even just down to how the puzzles work, where the game will put you in front of a door with these runes on them, and to unlock the door you gotta find the runes, but you'll find the runes through like random debris or sunbeams or just everyday objects meant to represent how people with psychosis will often find just random symbolism in everyday things and assign meaning to it, whether it's really there or not. But one of the best examples is the dark rot. On Senua's arm there is this black rot growing, and the game tells you very directly the more you die the more the rot will grow. So every time you die the rot will grow further on Senua's arm. Except that's a lie. Dying does nothing to grow or shrink the rot at all. The rot only grows as the story goes on during contextual moments. The game even gaslights you by having the respawn animation be Senua looking at her arm, but the whole dark rot mechanic isn't actually a mechanic in the game at all, and this is a great fit for the game's themes. Like how a mental battle and a physical battle don't really have that much difference. Both can be just as damaging as each other, right? On a first playthrough, this whole dark rot thing might convince you to play better, to absolutely fight for your life, even though it's just a figment of your imagination. So while Hellblade doesn't hide the fact that Senua is herself unstable, what it does hide are what parts of her are hers and what parts aren't. But what's weird is that my favorite parts of the game are not the creepy horror moments. No, the best part of a Hellblade is that surprisingly, it's a very optimistic game. Yeah, it's very painful too, for sure, but despite what Senua thinks, she's not a monster. She's a human being like anyone else. I mentioned earlier the game isn't quite sure what is or isn't part of the fantasy of the game's universe, but the game's actual point is that it doesn't really matter because it was all real to Senua. Even though to us, Senua's reality isn't fully real, what does matter is that Senua's reality is fully real to her.
So the question is, what Senua experiences real? Can only be answered by saying, yes, it is real. It is her reality.
But Senua's reality isn't always dark. In fact, there are some beautiful moments of pure bliss in this game. And while she does feel strong pain, she also feels this very strong love throughout the game. And that strong love wouldn't exist if Senua didn't exist. So as long as Senua's alive, then so is love and hope.
Even in darkness, the wonder and the beauty of this world never leaves us. It is always there, waiting to be seen again.
In the end, Hellblade isn't a game about fighting your mental illnesses. It's rather about a woman who tries to fight her mental illnesses, and instead finds true peace and acceptance. Senua can't change who she is, and that's okay, because again, as long as she's alive, so is love and beauty.
Mental illness has been with us for as long as we have been on this planet, but why? Why hasn't evolution stamped out this weakness from within our gene pool? I often pondered this question until I realized that the question had an inbuilt flaw. It assumes that being and thinking differently is a weakness. The only reason we have computers, spacecraft, medicine, poetry, art, and yes, even video games is because individuals are able to simulate new abstract realities in their minds and share them with the rest of us. We need people to be willing to see differently in order for us to progress and survive as society. And we need to be open to these new ways of seeing.
It's very fitting that the ending of Hellblade, my favorite part of the game by the way, is not Senua being cured of her mental illness, but rather looking at the voices, to the camera, and to us, and inviting us into the next chapter of her life.
Follow us. We have another story to tell.
You see, this is what we call caring about your subject matter. When you aren't just throwing in shock value to try and convince the most easily impressionable people on the fucking planet, and you instead do your research and look introspectively, and you craft a narrative that isn't shy of being painful, but also isn't afraid to be just as optimistic. You craft a truly intimate and beautiful experience. And that's what a Hellblade is, a beautiful and intimate experience. One that explores mental health in a way that only a video game really could, by putting you in the shoes of someone going through psychosis.
Games are capable of drawing you in for hours on end, playing the role of a character who is different from you, experiencing their perspective, and actively involving you in a world that functions with a different set of rules.
I myself have known a number of people who have struggled with psychosis, and every once in a while those friends and I will discuss representation in media. And usually Hellblade comes up, and every time it is, it's overwhelmingly positive amongst them. Whether it's described as a terrifyingly accurate or absolutely beautiful, Hellblade resonated with real people. Even me, while I haven't gone through psychosis, I have had my own mental health struggles over the years. So Hellblade did hit really close to home in multiple areas. And I won't lie, in both this game and the sequel, seeing a character like Senua witness any kind of peace or reprieve made me choke up a little bit at points.
It's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
And that's because the Hellblade 1 really does care about crafting empathy. The game is very dark, sure, but it's also just as optimistic. That's what I like the most in art, man. And when I finished the game for the first time, I had just one question. How the fuck to make a sequel to that? And in response, I don't think Ninja Theory really knew either. Hellblade 2 is a weird video game. It was also, in contrast to the first one, much more divisively received. There was quite a bit of discussion about this game being a 5-hour video game that was very cinematic. It's like I'm playing a movie, guys! It's kind of like the controversy Mixtape would have, only slightly less annoying. It didn't help that Hellblade 2 was marketed like fucking garbage. Huh, I wonder what happened.
It's my personal honor to welcome Ninja Theory to Microsoft Studios.
I think on top of that, though, nobody was really asking for a Hellblade sequel. It would be like making a Dear Esther 2. Like, you can't do that.
Me after rage baiting bro and turning off my phone. But he keeps sending me messages, so I low-key just shoved it in my ass.
I also don't think even Ninja Theory knew how to make a Hellblade 2, to be honest with you. Like, okay, with both games, there are these little in-game featurettes that are like mini documentaries, and the first one is actually really interesting. You see Ninja Theory's philosophy, their influence, the development, the consultation they got, but then you watch the second one, and most of it is just them talking about the first game again, which makes me just even more confused about what the development was really like. It's like they're tap dancing around the big Hellblade 2-sized elephant in the room here. So because of this, you would think Hellblade 2 is a disaster, right? But surprisingly, when I beat the game, I went, was I supposed to hate that?
Not bad, not bad.
See, unlike Hellblade 1, Hellblade 2 is a significantly less abstract narrative. Hellblade 2, long story short, is about Senua going on a quest to kill a bunch of giants, after she kinda befriends, but not really befriends, a guy who is the head of a slave ship. And the plot is shockingly straightforward. There are psychological moments, but the story in Hellblade 2 is a narrative, and not a vague kind of Silent Hill-like collection of visions and hallucinations. No, instead we get, honest-to-God side characters in this thing. And even more surprisingly, I like what the game does with them. The big one being the character of a Thorgester, the first one you kinda meet. He's a slave trader, so yeah, not the best profession in the world. But turns out, Thorgester is really just under the influence of his father, an evil Icelandic Godi who is sacrificing people to appease the giants. But Thorgester is still tied to the emotional connection he has to his own father. So where it might be easier for Senua to see Thorgester's dad and go, this dude is evil and a piece of shit, and for her to be very conflicted about the both of them due to her own trauma, Thorgester over time will genuinely have a want for redemption, but end up kinda being weird about it, wrestling between redemption and the fear he has towards his father. This is on top of Senua's own fears that she might eventually become her own father, so there's a very interesting and complicated dynamic here.
I'm going to kill him.
We will kill him.
There's always someone ready to take his place. You told me that yourself. Might have been me if I had never met you. You have to show them a different way. You have to redeem them.
Something I also liked in Hellblade 2 that I normally wouldn't like in anything else is the fact that a lot of these side characters feel very closed off. This might give the sense of the player asking, am I supposed to care about these random fucking people? But what's ironic is that Senua herself doesn't seem to care about them at all either, which is the point. While Senua has better control over her trauma from the first game, it's still there. So as a result, she's very closed off from everyone else. It's not until pretty late in the game when Senua sees these characters' traumas of their own, and in spite of her isolation, can't help but empathize with them. So the characters being closed off for the most part is kind of the point. Senua does not want to trust these people, so as a result, they all kind of live in their own closed little boxes. But trauma and pain is something everyone experiences, even if Senua's condition is her own. So Hellblade 2 is building off the empathy of the first game, only where that game was convincing us to be empathetic towards Senua, Hellblade 2 is now convincing Senua to be empathetic towards others.
My brothers used to come here to practice fighting. Sneak out. Follow them.
She's a fighting machine. Learning by watching.
Like, you're dead now. I'm all that's left.
She is alone like you. Alone in the world. Who do you have? No one. You only have us. She has us.
I don't want to start anything before I've spoken to my father.
You trust him? Look what his father does. Look what her father did. They are not their fathers. She is different. We are different. His father's influence is strong. Your father's influence was strong. But he is not his father. You are not your father.
This leads into what I think is the overall point of Hellblade 2, where the point is hope is real and hope can be found in anyone, but you have to choose it. Senua has already accepted her condition and psychosis. The world is much more clear and lucid to her now, but she's still dealing with an unwritten future. But so are the other characters in this thing, right? And there's a beauty in that unwritten, uncertain future. Hope can be found at any time, you just have to choose it.
The ones she saved, the names she found, they lift her up. Their hands reach out to hers. And now, she reaches back to them. Her story is not written. There is always a choice.
At its core, Hellblade 2 is shockingly a very beautiful story about hope and redemption. But it's also held back by some of the dumbest fucking decisions I have ever seen in my life. For one, the presentation, aka the fact that Hellblade 2 wants to just be a playable movie now. And because of that, Ninja Theory made the stupid decision to include forced letterboxing in their game. To make a long story short, you ever watch a movie and see those black bars on the top and bottom of your screen? Well, but that's because the movie was shot in that aspect ratio. Because movies were made for the movie theaters. And movie theaters tend to be wider than your average TV is.
So when you guys go to buy your tickets, depending on where you live, it's gonna be a lot of options available to you, all right? There's one aspect ratio, that Ultra Panavision 276 ratio. That's gonna be the most widely available format to see the film the whole time in that ratio without the aspect ratios changing at all. If you live close to an IMAX theater and you choose to buy an IMAX ticket, you might have a 190 IMAX available to you, which for certain portions of the film, the aspect ratio will expand. And if you're especially lucky, you might live close to an IMAX 1:3:1 ratio theater, where you'll get the full impact of every image how we intended to see it.
However, of course, video games don't really need this because they're not shot on cameras and aren't intended to be watched in a movie theater. So the only reason you would do this is to intentionally mimic a movie. Now, this is fine to indicate a cutscene happening, a part that isn't interactive. But if you're doing it for your whole fucking game, it's really, really stupid. Because now when you're trying to play a video game, you got these two giant black bars on your screen. No, please, video game. I love it when a third of my screen is just unviewable. What makes it even worse is two things. One, the first game just wasn't like this at all. And secondly, Hellblade 2 is a very, very good looking game otherwise. Like, holy shit, these are the graphics of the game? Why would you want to replicate a film limitation like this? On PC, you can mod the game to remove the dumbass letterboxing. And yeah, the game looks 10 times better with this shit off. Like, imagine seeing a view like this and going, yeah, no, this looks better graphically. Or how about this? No, wait, this. Oh, yeah, no, this is cinematic. Hey, guys, I found the new Hellblade 3 footage. Yo! This is so realistic. It's like a movie. Another really dumb decision is the game's pacing, because the game is paced like this. The game can be way too slow, way too often, with very little room for environmental storytelling or atmosphere or anything like that. In contrast, I've been playing the Plague Tale games recently, which do a way better job of not having these walking scenes be like 50 years long, as well as actually providing interesting things that happen during them so they don't grow stale really fast, and placing them between really intense gameplay moments. On top of that, Plague Tale Requiem specifically actually improves on the gameplay of the first game, while Hellblade 2's gameplay, it's kinda weird. While the combat feels more intense and has better feedback, it's also for some reason simplified, as you both have less moves and the game is just in general significantly easier. Hellblade 1 literally had an auto-scaling difficulty option, which thematically made sense. It was a way to tie the game's difficulty to the narrative's themes. While in Hellblade 2, it's spectacle. It's like a movie. It sucks too because the combat is more visceral in the second game, held together with great animation work and spectacular sound design.
And the graphics, that's really what this is all about.
And the first boss will even dynamically dodge out of your way and shit, tricking you into thinking this will be a harder game, only for the game to not actually live up to this mechanically. Also, is it just me or are the voices in Senua's head worsely written this time around? In the first game, they were all over the place. They would praise Senua, they would insult her, they would feed more and more to the paranoia of that game's world. In Hellblade 2, though, I don't know what it is, but they just seem like they're more stating the obvious over and over again. Like, it's not just me, right? Compare these two.
It's over here. Is that? It's over there. No, it's here. There's two. You need to find another angle.
She needs to find another angle.
No, Raven's helping. He's not helping. It's a trick. Quiet. I can't say. He doesn't hate her.
Hate us.
Not like the others. Accepts her. Accepts her.
Because of all this just really dumb shit, Hellblade 2 is a really conflicting game when I don't want it to be. It's like, there is a very easy, like, 9 out of 10 game in Hellblade 2, but in between those genuinely beautiful moments is moments of walking, and walking, and walking, and walking, and walking. And oh shit, that's right, I forgot, I modded my game. Here's the black bars again. In spite of this though, again, I really do think there's a great game in Hellblade 2. So imagine my shock and surprise and excitement when it was revealed that a new Hellblade game is coming. What? This time a standalone soft reboot thing just called Senua. One that seems to be going back to the more abstract narrative from the first game. And check this out, the combat looks way more dynamic and interesting. And most importantly, there's no stupid-ass black bars on my screen. Wow, it really seems like Ninja Theory is kind of going back to the drawing board and listening to the fans on this one. And by fans, I of course mean fan, which is me, the one single Hellblade fan. Yeah, very weird that Microsoft greenlit a game made for only me and that only I will play. Which is very funny, because they didn't.
Hey, roger that, Doctor.
Fuck Microsoft! Fuck!
When you don't fix your shit, yo, fuck your Microsoft. Fuck your Microsoft.
Fuck you, Microsoft!
Fuck your Microsoft. Fuck your Microsoft.
Xbox ain't got games. Shit. Fuck Gears of War. More like Tears of War.
So get this. 8 days after Microsoft's digital showcase where they announced Senua, the news breaks that Microsoft is planning on shutting down multiple studios, including Double Fine, Compulsion Games, and Ninja Theory. And Senua was really only revealed so Microsoft could help sell Ninja Theory to someone else. Now to be fair, as of this video, Ninja Theory is not closed down yet, which is a statement that'll age well for about 15 minutes after this video goes live. It's just really sad, you know. Hellblade was unique. You don't have a lot of video games, let alone media in general, tackling mental health the way that a Hellblade did. Bringing in real professionals and using experimental audio tech, using that to assist this deeply empathetic work of art. And while a Hellblade 2 had its flaws for sure, I still appreciated what it tried to do and the conclusions it made. That no matter who you are or what you've been through, hope will always be a choice. I hope that, if anything, this video does bring attention to this often overlooked little franchise. I very intentionally made this video in a way where I wasn't just describing everything in these games, because I want you to go out and experience them yourself before, you know, Microsoft kills the studio. It's to me one of those examples of why video games and art are so important. It helps us understand perspectives and experiences that we might not experience on our own, and it gives struggling people a kind of a catharsis by telling them they're not alone, but more importantly, that hope is just around the corner. All of this is, of course, why I value art so heavily. I can only hope that my own art would have the same impact on people, and I guess that's a kind of the thing, whether it's YouTube videos, video games, movies, paintings, books. In this current age, art is empathy, and we need empathy more than ever. So in that regard, we need art more than ever. A reminder that no matter what our traumas may be, what struggles we go through every day, no matter what it is, hope is just around the corner. It's just you have to remember that hope will always be a choice.
Hello, I'm VTuber with Schizophrenia, and I have to say Dumbsville is wrong with Hellblade 2. I love it when video games have 2 large black bars on my fucking screen and put me into 15-minute walking sequences.
Oh fuck, forgot to put in the black bars again.
And also, my favorite game is DMC Devil May Cry.
You can call me Dante the Demon Killer. Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Fuck you! Fuck you!